Hi all, Adi here from Hans & Johns. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I'm in deepest, darkest Sussex and I've got an absolutely fabulous little gem to show you. Sorry about the noise, you can hear the cars. We're right beside a main road. Now this church was built in approximately 1050. Yes, you heard me correctly. And it has inside some of the most important wall paintings in the whole of the county, if not the country. And they're pretty well preserved, actually. And another thing that makes this unique, well, there's several things actually, but you can see that it has actually got like plaster, lime plaster on the outside. Now all the churches that I show you in Sussex especially would have had this originally, but it's been lost over obviously the centuries, so it's quite unique to see one like this. It makes it like chocolate box picture postcard perfect, isn't it? I'm just trying to show you up the top there as well. There was also an anchorite here, and there was an anchorite cell on the side, so, and it's on this lovely little road, and there's some really old houses. There's one there and there's one up there, so when I finish showing you around the church, I'm going to walk along the road here and show you these really beautiful old houses. So let's go and have an explore. I'm really quite excited about this one. I've been wanting to come here for ages. And it's editing Adi here, and I just wanted to let you know that I did my best to describe the paintings in the church. Now they do give you an information card and you can walk around the church and look at the paintings, but unfortunately I found it incredibly difficult, save for a few, to make out what they were talking about. So I've just kept in the ones that I felt were pretty clear and that you could see, but I'm just going to leave some footage and I will still show you all the paintings, and then if you are really interested, by all means just pop onto Google and have a look, and there might even be some clearer pictures on there for you to see. So they've got a overview of the paintings, the wall paintings, which is wow. I mean, the pictures that I've seen of this really don't do it justice. So beautiful. So I'm going to try and follow this. So it says to go into the chancel, and here we have the astounding painting here of Adam and Eve. So they've been tempted in the Garden of Eden. And that to the right there is supposedly the assumed shape of the heraldic beast. The wyvern, or the devil, and the shape of the two figures will immediately strike the modern observer as either very weird or very modern. And then this one here, I don't know how good it's picking it up. This is Eve milking a strange beast before she has become part of the falling world. The other paintings in the chancel are less clear to an untutored eye, but on the north wall to the left, facing the altar, the lower half of the wall can be seen, the last scene of the Last Supper. St Botolph's church was built in 1050, so it's amazing to think that we're standing in a building that's nearly 1,000 years old. The wall paintings were put up in the early 12th century, it's estimated, and that would have been just shortly after the church was actually built. And in here you'll see scenes from the Old Testament, stories from the life of Christ, and there's even one of the earliest images of St George in England, and I will take you down to see that in a minute. The artist painted straight onto wet plaster using natural colours, and even though time has faded them, you can still make out the figures and the stories, although it's extremely difficult to the untrained eye. For centuries, these paintings were hidden under whitewash, forgotten until they were rediscovered in 1866 during some restoration work, and since then people have been trying to care and preserve them, but of course early attempts weren't always ideal, but more recent conservation has focused on protecting the fragile plaster and paint. These days, specialists monitor the environment and things like moisture and temperature, because changes to these can damage the paintings, and you can see all the moisture getting in here and the damage that it's causing to the plaster, which of course the paintings are on. These paintings are so important to organisations like Historic England because they're actually listed on the Heritage at Risk list, which highlights both how special they are and how much work actually goes into looking after them. So this is called the St George sequence, and it's on the north wall, and on the lower part of the two layers here, can you see the outline of like a horse? So this scene is said to show St George in battle against the infidel, and it may represent the Battle of Antioch. Again, I'm not sure if I've said that correctly, in 1098, when St George and two other saints were said to have come to the aid of the Crusaders. This scene was previously thought to portray St George slaying the dragon, but it doesn't. Apparently, I'll just get a little bit closer. That's the battle scene. Over the chancel arch here, I'm reading from the information that's been provided. So if I'm pointing at the wrong bit while I'm talking, I do apologise. I'm finding it quite hard to see what they're talking about, if I'm being honest. So over the arch is a remarkable set of paintings, and there's much left to admire. Look particularly at the Annunciation and the Visitation to the right of the arch. So over here, so notice the colours. So you can see that at the top there, particularly the hues along the angel's wing and its drapery. The angel's crossed arms are a sign of intercession. Oh yes, I can see what they mean. The one on the left. So this is a symbol dating back to the Orthodox tradition, and over the arch itself is the Lamb of God facing left. I think that's that bit directly in the middle, because to do so signifies honour. So if you bring down the level of your gaze to the lower tier and see to your right the baptism scene and a vague remnant, so that must be the baptism scene, and the vague remnant on the left of what is taken to be the end of the St George sequence. And over here in the corner, I found this, and it's like a collection of little drawings that were done back in 1901, and they belong to Sussex Archaeological Society, and they belong to, I think it's a Mr. Philip Johnson, and it would have given you a better idea of what the paintings would have looked like originally. And there it's quite easy to see the different stories like that they're trying to tell. As I say, I'm completely uneducated when it comes to churches and medieval wall art, so please do go online and you can look it up, and maybe then that'll allow you to interpret the pictures that I've showed you for yourself. And this is a lovely little painting, isn't it? And there's a memorial up here to William Masefield, who's the rector of Hardham, and his son, who was killed in the Second World War. Another little painting here. Beautiful. And they had a very old monument chest that there was no date for that, so that would have been used back in medieval times to store all the records. It was a requirement from, I think, from the mid 1500s onwards. And then this is some pictures from some years ago when they did a little concert here. And then if anyone watches the programme Bargain Hunt, BBC, they came here and recorded some of the show here. But you can see the effect the moisture's having even on the most recent of things. These beautiful wall paintings. It's fantastic that these are being treated, and there's loads of conservation work going on to make sure that they're protected for generations, but they are extremely fragile. I mean, the whole walls just tell a story, don't they? Each section tells a different story. It's just a shame it was so difficult to make out. There was this other piece of painting. No idea what that might have been. I didn't read anything about that on the information card, but here's the perspective. Beautiful, isn't it? I can only imagine what this would have been like back in the day when it was bright and fresh, and the parishioners would have learned their Bible stories from these pictures. I mean, the whole place does feel like a time capsule. And this is the font. This is a later edition. I say later, it's still from the 1400s, but it's a lot later than the wall paintings. Still got the lead lining, and that would have been a lock because they used to keep the holy water locked so no one pinched it for like magic spells or wrongdoings. And we're just going to head outside. I'm going to have a quick look around the outside of the building. I'm going to show you the anchorite cell, and then I'm going to show you the two really old cottages. Love the hardware on this door. Not sure how old that is, but a lot more recent. Maybe a couple of 100 years old, maybe Victorian. I had a bit of a job getting out, to be honest. Thought I was going to be stuck in there, but I got out. And look at that beautiful doorway. Lovely. So we're just going to have a look around now. And you can see that's got like the lime plaster on the outside. And as I said earlier, all of the churches would have looked like this originally, but most of it has fallen off or it fell into disrepair. So you actually find very few churches that still has the plaster intact on the outside. And there's the old blocked up door. And you can see some of the old original Norman windows there. This is what is called a squint. Now that would have been clear, it wouldn't have been blocked off back there. And what it was, there was a cell here and the foundations of it were found, and they were doing an excavation. So there would have been what they called an anchorite here, and that was a person who decided to dedicate their life to God. So what they used to do was get holed up, so they were blocked in up against the church, and they would use the squint to look in so they could see the service. And before we go, as promised, I'm going to show you these two really old buildings. And the first one we're going to look at is actually called Church Cottage, and it's a significant medieval building, and it dates back to approximately 1450. Now this building was originally constructed as an inn to serve pilgrims that were travelling along the old Pilgrim's Way, and it's a timber framed house, and inside it features period panelling. And the second house that we're going to see in a moment is Hardham Priory Farmhouse, and this is located again directly the other side of the church, and this is actually a grade 1 listed building, and it actually incorporates part of the 13th century priory of Augustinian canons, and it was founded in about 1248, and it is believed to be one of the most oldest inhabited sites in this area. And you can see there's an old pump and the well there. Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could go and have a look inside? What a beautiful old cottage. Did you see it had like a pump, and obviously it used to have a well in there as well. And yes, they are daffodils. Can't believe that, daffodils in January. Whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, if you could please like and subscribe, I really would appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel and help with the donations I make and my petrol when I'm travelling around, you can use the Buy Me a Coffee link down below. There's no pressure to, guys, even watching my video is absolutely fantastic for me. It really helps the algorithm, really helps my little channel. So anything you do, or watching, liking, subscribing, just help it in any way you can, and then I can help these beautiful old buildings in the little way that I can as well. We all have to do a little bit to help preserve the history. Anyway, I believe there's another church just up the road, so I'm going to go onto Google Maps now and try and see if we can check that out on the way home. So I'm waffling on as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.